found out that the others knew and Pharaoh wanted him dead, and he ran away with his sins buried in the sand, thinking all was forgotten. He started a new life, new wife, and had a child. And then the Lord's messenger appeared to Moses in the form of a burning bush, drastic to get his attention. You know, sometimes God has to do something drastic to get your attention. Then he ended up sending him back to the same place that he ran from, sending him back to Pharaoh to tell him to let his people go. And at that time he was content where he was, and didn't understand that all he had to do was what God wanted him to do in order to begin the process of walking into his promised land. Sometimes we do have to go backwards and do like the kind of spiritual song said, and clean up what we messed up.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my next topic of change before you have to, not because you have to.
Amen.
And the topic on today will be, will it be because or before?
Amen.
Now the scripture I'll be coming from is 2 Samuel 11 and 27. And those of you who don't have your Bible, have a printout so you can read from that printout. And 2 Samuel 11 and 27 reads, and when the morning was over, David sent and brought her to his house. And she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. Now I want to give a little backstory about David and Bathsheba.
Come on now.
Bathsheba was taking a bath, cleansing herself. And David was on the rooftop. And he saw this naked, beautiful woman bathing.
Yes, he did.
And he questioned, who is that woman? And they told him, basically, that's the wife of Uriah. So he sent them, even though he knew she was married, go get her and bring her to me. Now, he's the king, so they have to oblige. And she came as he commanded. He slept with Bathsheba, and then she bore him a son. She let him know, I'm pregnant. So then he go and calls Uriah, and he say, bring him from war. And when he came, he said, go and wash your feet. Basically, go live with your wife. And he didn't. And then he tried again, and he basically told him, he tried to get him, he got him drunk.
Yeah, he did.
And thought that would get him to go lay with his wife, and it didn't work that time either. So this time he sent a note with him, put him on the front line, and kill him. And that's where we come to 2 Samuel 11 and 27, when it says, and when the morning was over, when Bathsheba finished mourning over her husband, David sent and brought her to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. Then I want you to drop down to 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 1 through 6. And it reads, the Lord sent Nathan to David, and he came to him and said to him, there were two men in a certain city, the one rich and the other poor. See, right now he's giving an example. Because sometimes we can't see what we're doing unless it's somebody else that's doing it. We don't like to look in a mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
Verse 2 reads, the rich man had many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing but one little lamb which he had brought. And he brought it up, and it grew with him and with his children. He used it to eat of his morsel and drink from his cup and lie in his arms, and it was like a daughter to him. Verse 4 says, now there came a traveler to the rich man, and he was unwilling to take one of his own flock or herd to prepare for the guests who had come to him. But he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it for the man who come to him. Then David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, as the Lord lives, the man who has done this deserves to die. And he should restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing and because he had no pity. He had no shame of taking that man's lamb when he had all of his own. I want y'all to write this down. It's, Lord said, send Nathan to David to pronounce God's judgment. To pronounce God's judgment. I just want to ask you a quick question. How many times has God blessed us with everything we thought we wanted and we still wasn't satisfied?
Amen. All right.
We still complained and we still wanted more. And sometimes even when it wasn't ours to have.
Yeah.
We wanted what belonged to somebody else. 2 Samuel 12:7-8 reads that Nathan said to David, you are the man. You're the man that we're talking about. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave you master's house to you and your master wives into your arms. I gave you Israel and Judah, and all of this, if all of this had been too little, I would have given you even more. David had everything he thought he wanted. God had delivered David from Saul's power. God had anointed David as king. All he had to do was tell God it wasn't enough, and he would have given him more. But in this case, David wanted another man's wife. See, we can envy someone else's car because it looks nicer than ours. They got a 2017 and we still in the 2006.
All right.
We can envy someone else's house because it's bigger than ours. Because we in a 3-bedroom and they're in a 5-bedroom, and then we no longer become happy. We're no longer happy with what God has blessed us with, and not understanding that what you have right now is what you should have in this season.
Yeah.
And their blessing ain't your blessing.
All right.
That you don't know how hard they worked to get what they had. And now you're trying to take what's theirs, and God is not pleased with that. And then we wonder why we losing what we got and have to start all over again. We're going to look at 2 Samuel 12:9-12, and it says, why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now therefore the sword will never depart from your house. I don't know if y'all remember the saying or heard the saying, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah.
Because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah to be your own. This is what the Lord says. Out of your household I am going to bring calamity on you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will sleep with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all of Israel.
All right.
After all God gave you, and you still doing wrong. And again, remember, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. We have to understand that the choices you make not only affect you, but it has an effect on everyone around you. Has God had to do something drastic in your life before where he had to, where you ended up embarrassed in front of everybody? I know David had to be embarrassed with his wife sleeping with other men in broad daylight. He had to be embarrassed. Has God showed just skeletons to everybody? Your secrets, was they put on display for everybody to see, where others can see you fall, where others can see you break down? See, we hear the saying, what goes up must come down. Did they see you go up and now see you coming down? They saw you living high on a hog and now you're down in the dumps. 2 Samuel 12:13-16 reads that David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die. But because by doing this you have shown utter contempt for the Lord, the son born to you will die. And after Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had born to David, and he became ill. David then began to plead with God for the child. He fasted and spent the nights lying in sackcloth on the ground. And David was at a place right now where he had to begin fasting. He was at a place that he didn't even have to do all that if he just would have done right. He was at a place that he had to begin fasting and begin begging and praying for God to spare his son. He realized it was because of him that his son was going to die. If only he would have remained doing what was right and was satisfied with what God had already blessed him with.
Yeah.
See, we look at the word and we see that David was a king. He was the chosen one. They say David was a man after God's own heart. But as you can see, David had some flaws. David was still tempted. And you have to understand that just because you are anointed, you are called to minister, you are called to pastor, it doesn't mean that you are not going to have some flaws.
All right.
It does not mean you're not going to come against temptation. It does not mean that the devil going to stop working on you.
All right.
Because to be honest, when you're anointed and you have a calling on your life, the devil works even harder.
Yeah, amen. Mm-mm.
You see, even after David begged and prayed and fasted, his son still died. And I have to look at my life because I remember that even after my addiction to pills and my attempt to commit suicide by taking those pills and me deciding to no longer do that anymore, I was driving one day on 45 and I recall thinking in my mind, I think I'm getting a headache. I think my head's starting to hurt a little bit. I think I might just need to take one. See, God gave me the opportunity to change before I had to, and I thought I was. But see, the devil sometimes comes in and he begins to work on you. And when you think you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, he give you a reason.
Come on.
He's not going to tempt you with something that you don't want. See, he gives you a reason. And I recall I'm driving down 45 and I got some Vicodin in my car. The same pills that God had already taken away from me, that he had already saved me from. So my head is hurting so bad. In my mind, I felt like I was having a migraine, but I think it was just the devil working. But I made it up on my mind that I was that day gonna just take one. I used to take about 3 or 4 a day, but today I'm gonna only take one.
You're doing good.
And then while I was taking that pill, it got lodged in my throat. And I'm driving down 45, and I don't know if y'all know what 45 is by day goes. But I'm driving down 45, and I'm in the left-hand lane, and I had to get over 3 lanes of traffic with a pill lodged in my throat, and I couldn't breathe. And I finally got off the freeway, and I don't know how God spared me. I almost got into 3 accidents, people blowing their horns at me and swerving around me. But I got off the freeway without a scratch, and I made it to this deserted parking lot.
Amen.
And all I can remember, I went and sat down on the side of the car. And I was crying, and I had tears falling from my eyes, and I had snot coming out of my nose, and I couldn't breathe. And all I remember saying is, God. Now I'm saying this in my mind. If you just give me one more time, I'm going to change because you're making me. I'm going to change because now I have to. Because if I didn't, I would still be doing the same things that I was doing. And at that time when I said, God, here I am in my mind, and I can't breathe, and I feel like my life is getting ready to pass me by, that pill dissolved.
Wow. Amen.
See, at that moment I changed because I had to.
Wow.
I failed to change before I had to. And God literally had to do something drastic in my life to get my attention. He had to say, Keisha, I've saved you how many times from this, and you still doing the same things over and over and over again that I've already brought you out of. What do I have to do to get your attention? What do he have to do to get your attention before you say I'm done?
Come on.
I know you gave me the opportunity. I know when I was laying up in the hospital bed and didn't know how I got there. I knew when I was there and wasn't nobody there holding my hand. I knew that I had to change, but I still was doing the same things that I was used to because we're used to being comfortable in our mess.
Right.
We're used to being okay with mediocre. See, I was used to walking around high, feeling like I was floating on a cloud because I had no worries. the man that was with me, the abusive one that I was dealing with, you can talk all day because I didn't hear nothing you were saying because I was floating on the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
You still talking? Keep on.
Wow.
You want to fight? Let's fight.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter. 3-4 pills, I was good to go. But then it got to a point in my life where I was said, I'm done. I don't want to see my kids see me like this anymore. Let me do something that'll take me away from them, because maybe they'll be better off without me. And I made the decision to take those pills that day. And when God spared my life, I said I'll never do it again.
Amen.
But then one day on 45, the devil said, yes, you will.
Yeah.
He said, you tried it.
Mm.
I'm
Glory
busy.
to God.
But I thank God on today that even though he was busy, God was busy.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the side of that car and I was thinking in my mind, everything flashed in front of me. And right now I'm glad today to see my babies, 15, 14, and 13. They get on my nerves, but they're my babies. And if it wasn't for them and God on my side, I don't know where I would be right now.
Yeah. Amen.
I had to change some things about me because I had to. Now that's just one thing I had to change, but we not even going to touch the surface because I'll be there all night.
Mm.
But that's just one that when I was studying this and I was trying to decide on which way to go, he brought me back to that story. A story that I don't really tell because you don't like people to know what you have been through. You don't like people to know that I done did that too. You don't like people to know that I used to be where you are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who you saving when you trying to hide your story?
All
Who
right.
you helping when you can't open your mouth and tell them, I've been there, I've done that, and look at me now.
All right. Amen.
I got a long way to go, but I call it in my glory. And what they say, you see my glory, but you don't know my story. I'm telling you about a book. I got another one on the way. Are you really ready to change before you have to? So you don't have to be in the position that I was in to change because I had to. I could have been gone now. And when you make a decision to do something like that, you not only, and like I said before, David affected everybody around him. His son died. Bathsheba wasn't doing anything but taking a bath. And she had to endure the pain of her husband getting killed at war. She had to endure the pain of her son dying, all because of a man who was king, anointed by God, using his power to sleep with her, bear a child with her. But she had to endure all the pain because of him. You never know what your choices are going to cause somebody else. If that pill lodged in my throat, would it kill me that day? I wouldn't have never made it to pick my kids up from my mama's house that day. Then I would have had to have her and my dad endure the pain of raising the children that I chose to bring into this world.
Yeah.
They'll have to go through school wondering why my mama didn't love me, why she couldn't stay here and be with me, where'd she go, why she left me, and then we have to worry about are they going to do the same things they mama did.
Wow.
God will do some drastic things in your life. You never understand why until after it's done.
Amen.
It's time to do the work. If you have your papers out, I just want you to look at the key idea where it says you can change before you have to instead of because you have to. And what it says is you will change. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, y'all. The question is, when will you change?
All right.
Will you change because you have to or before you have to? See, we all know people who have been forced to change. People lose their jobs and people suffer incurable diseases and deal with other life-altering situations that cause them to change. These type of people change because they had to, but see, other people change before they have to. They see the writing on the wall and they make the necessary adjustments. They pursue new career opportunities when they see the life vest they own or the boat that they riding on that's starting to sink. They see it coming and they say, oh no, I'm getting off this boat. I'm going to try something different. Or they see they're not feeling good and they begin dealing with their health issues. See, they recognize the inevitability of change and are willing to face change with confidence. I was scared of changing. Some people are scared of change because you have to come out of your comfort zone. You have to remove yourself from what you're used to. You don't know how life is going to be outside of what you're doing. But you will never know. Steve Harvey had something on that he did on Family Feud, and he was talking about jumping. And he said, if you never jump, your parachute will never open. Your parachute will never open. And even when you jump, sometimes it's not going to open. Sometimes you can try, and it's going to fail. But see, God has to have you fail sometimes, Portia. You got to fail sometimes, because if you never fail, you never going to know what success is. You're never going to know how it feels to say, I made it.
All right.
I went through this and I went through that, but I made it. So if you never jump, your parachute would never open. David knew what he was doing was wrong. He had the choice as he saw Bathsheba bathing while he was sitting on his roof to turn a blind eye. He could have turned around instead of watching her. He could have easily walked off that roof. But that day, just like the day I was on 45, he made a choice. He made a choice to use his power, his temptation, and he allowed his lust to take over. And the end result was his son died. His son that he bore with Bathsheba died. It's always a choice. God tells you to go right and you go left. That was a choice. He tells you to go up and you go down. That was a choice. He tells you to move forward and don't look back. But you look back and turn into a pillar of salt. That was a choice that you made. He gave you freedom of choice. The choice that I made could have taken my life, but God is a good God.
Yeah. Amen.
He say, I'm going to take you through some stuff because your story is going to save somebody else. I'm going to take you through some stuff, but it ain't got nothing to do with you, but everything to do with everybody else. He took me through some stuff, and even when I asked and didn't understand why, even though I cried and I questioned him, even though I asked him over and over, why me? He said, you'll find out when it's time. Last month when I gave this out, I asked everyone to take time to consider those things that was controlling them and list those things that was controlling and the things that they could change. And I don't know who did it, if anybody. I did it because not only is this something that I want to work on with everybody, this is something that I'm working on. And believe it or not, this was a plan that I started almost 3 years ago. And because it requires for you to look in the mirror and really be honest with yourself, I never finished it. And now I'm on my journey to finish it. Because it's still some things that's controlling me. It's still some trust issues that I have with people. It's still some issues that I have. Forgiveness was controlling me at one point in my life. But do you understand that when you can't forgive somebody, that lingers with you in every relationship and every job and everything that you do? See, I had to learn how to forgive some stuff. And then I had to learn how to forgive myself.
Amen.
So if you haven't done that, I ask that everybody just make a list of what's controlling them and just be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell anybody. This is for you. Find out what's controlling you. What do I need to change in me? Because if I can't change me, how can I help change anybody else?
All right.
How can I minister to somebody else when I can't be honest with myself? And all of those things for today. Choose which areas you listed that you are resistant to change. I don't want to trust people because every time I trust people, they hurt me. Every time I trust people, I get disappointed. Every time I trust people and step out, I got to step back even further. Every time I move forward with somebody, they push me 10 steps back. Why do you need me to trust you? I'm not looking to change my trust issues. I'm talking about me. It's time to be honest and look in the mirror. And it's just for you. You can go home and do it all by yourself. I am. Now you really have to ask your question, what would happen if you was forced to change in one or more of those areas? Keisha, what would happen if you was forced to trust that person because he all you had to trust? What would happen if he was all you had to trust and God's telling you you need to trust him? Because that's who I brought to get you where you need to go. But if you don't trust him, you'll never get there. See, God will put somebody in your life and you don't understand that God put them there. And you don't trust him, so you hindering yourself and you stagnant where you at. But if you just do what God's telling you to do and move forward, you'll never know where he's getting ready to take you to, because you never know what divine connection that person is going to have over your life. I'm talking to myself. Will it be because you have to, or will it be before you have to?
Amen.
And I can only leave you with this, two things. The hardest thing to do is the quote I always say, change your thought process and it'll change your life. Changing your thought process is one of the hardest things you have to do in your life. And that's why I gotta say it every day, because even at work, when you're working and people getting on your nerves, you can't say what you want to say. You gotta watch your facial expressions, Keisha. You gotta change your thought process. And when you're driving in your car and these people cutting you off and you want to do what you used to do, you got to change your thought process, because you never know once you throw the finger up who got a gun right next to you and ready to shoot you. You got to learn how to change your thought process. And then you got to make a decision. Are you going to change because you have to, before you have to, and now because you have to? That is
Amen.
Thank y'all so much.
Amen.